in the mountains around this time of day, the cold air and the hot air that are mixing switch directions and we get a wind shift. But because we're in a canyon and there's complex terrain going on here, we thought it would be fun to see what it's like when wind is being funneled up a canyon and up a draw. So we've got a target up at the top of this draw, and based on the wind direction, we're curious if the felt wind where we're at applies to this shot, or if there are other indicators that might help us make a good wind call. So we're going to shoot what we come up with in the conditions we're in, and then we're going to shoot the target, and we're going to believe the bullet to see what the effective wind speed on the round is, to discuss what might be happening to the bullet in flight. Okay, so we are getting the wind speed, and this wind speed of 5 miles an hour seems to be the constant. It goes up to 7, it drops down, and then we had a moment where it was 0, and then it picked back up to this 5 mile an hour to 7 mile an hour wave pattern. To get the actual direction, I point the Kestrel sideways into the wind until the propeller stops. And when it stops, I'm going to drop down and I'm going to draw that in the sand. And so I'm going to drop down here. I grabbed a stick, but you could grab a piece of brass, and I'm drawing a straight line in the direction of the seam of the Kestrel so that I can have a clock face with the rifle. And now I know that if this is 12 o'clock and a 90-degree angle is 9 o'clock, we're looking at 7:30 to 8 o'clock, between 7:30 and 8 angle. So this would be 25, 50, between 50 and 75% of the wind. And so let's just say that it was that, let's say it was 6 miles an hour. We're talking about a 3 to 4 mile an hour effective wind from the left. Okay? Now I know we got 7, we got 5, and we got 0, but I cut between 7 and 5 and said 6 is the average at 50 to 75%. So if it's 6, 50% would be 3, 75 would be 4.5. So we're talking about likely a 4 mile an hour left wind, and that angle is constant because of the channel that we're in. And so if it picks up, it's going to go from a 4 to a 5, and if it drops off, like we felt there for a minute, it's going to be nothing, and that lasts a few minutes. So if you're feeling wind, hold 4 to 5. If you're feeling nothing, make sure that it's gotten out of there and hold straight up. We're going to test that to see if it actually applies where we are to the flight path of the bullet between 700 and 800 yards.
Okay, I'm shooting 6.5 PRC, 143 grain Norma. I'm about a 7 mile an hour gun. It's a 700 yard shot, and we have roughly a 5 to 7 mile an hour wind. Impacted pretty center with a 0.3 to 0.4 hold. So that worked out for me with the calculations.
Okay, I'm shooting my 6.5 Creedmoor with a proof carbon barrel and a Thunderbeast Dominus suppressor. I am shooting a 156 Hunter bullet, and it's a 5 mile an hour rifle. So I'll be holding for 5 miles an hour because that's what we're picking up here. Five miles an hour was a good hold. So what we're seeing here is that the wind conditions where we're at are still applying as the wind gets funneled up its flight path up this canyon, even though you might think that it's going to be sheltered as the wind goes over the hill to the left. we're able to get a good wind call at the location we're at using this technique and apply that with 2 different calibers, 2 different bullets, 2 different speeds with the exact same wind hold.
No, this was a great little experiment because you're looking at a target that is deep inside the draw up there, and we have wind coming down the canyon that we're standing in right now. Nice little riverbed wash that we're in, and so the wind's coming right into it. But that wind call is carrying out to the target exactly like Chris did the math.
When you're shooting together as a pair, it's really important to have a language that you can use that communicates information that doesn't require translating. And Frank's shooting a 6.5 PRC, I'm shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor. Our holds are different. But if you notice, when Frank was communicating his wind call, he was communicating the miles per hour of his gun, the miles per hour of the wind, and confirmed the miles per hour of wind so that I could apply the miles per hour to my own rifle. If you communicate in miles per hour rather than hold, you're likely going to get the same impacts.
Awesome.